grew up looking at Lizzie Jelfs and admiring her in the mounting yard going, oh my God, she has the most incredible job. And one day I just got a call from Matt Welsh from racing.com and he said, have you ever considered being a mounting yard analyst? And I was like, are you kidding? Like, that's my dream. Like, I've literally dreamed of that my entire life, but just never thought it would happen. And then one thing led to another and I was moving down to Melbourne to become a mounting yard analyst for racing.com, and I can't quite express how emotional and just incredible that whole experience was. When your dream comes to fruition at such a young age, it really genuinely meant the world, and it was a really cool thing to experience. Do you want to go down, little one? Oh, do you want your brother? Good boy. There you go. So we're getting ready for Sandown races. What I have to do in the mornings is I essentially make up one of these. These are the ones I haven't gone through and done from last week, so I'm a little bit behind on my work. But I essentially am very old school and write everything down on my yard notes and some very basic form. When I say basic form, it's literally just where a horse is in their preparation. And if I need to know anything else, I ask Jackson. So I'd say I didn't have a traditional upbringing into racing. My dad had always loved racing. His grandfather had always loved racing, but more so just from a punter, casual owner, very recreational point of view. And then as a little girl, I was just horse obsessed. Like, that doesn't even cover it. Like, I was just dreamt about horses, toy horses everywhere. It was just like a crazy horse girl. Rode as much as I could, and to do anything to be near a horse, I'd go to the races with Dad just so I could be near horses, and that ended up with me being in the mounting yard. Dad, as a punter, looked at horses as well, and he pretty much taught me everything I knew from a young age, just like what to look for when looking at a thoroughbred. And the more you look at a horse, the more you kind of learn and pick up things. And being around horses and being at the races, I just learnt more and more about the mounting yard. And I grew up looking at Lizzie Jelfs and admiring her in the mounting yard going, oh my God, she has the most incredible job. And one day I just decided to start posting on Twitter my pics of the yard. I have no idea how it started. I can't remember. And got some followers and got some engagement, and I was like, this is really fun. Like, I liked tipping, I liked doing my pics of the yard on Twitter. And then one thing led to another and I was moving down to Melbourne to become a mounting yard analyst for racing.com, and I can't quite express how emotional and just incredible that whole experience was. When your dream comes to fruition at such a young age, it really genuinely meant the world, and it was a really cool thing to experience. And that got me into Victorian racing, and I met a lot of incredible people at that job, obviously all the trainers and jockeys, industry participants. And then when that door closed, another one opened with Betfair. So I kind of went from the TV to the social media side of world, and have really loved working for Betfair, doing the mounting yard, and it's a new chapter and I'm really enjoying it. There are certain races I try and go into a little bit more depth on. For starters, 2-year-olds, horses that perhaps I haven't seen before and I need to learn a little bit about. But other than that, I try to keep it very, very basic. I'm a huge overthinker. I've always been quite an anxious personality, and it's something I've kind of struggled with my entire life, is that lack of self-belief. And the longer you're in this industry, you learn to kind of ignore all the outside noise and just trust yourself. And that's something Jackson's really helped me with as well, because at the end of the day, I'm good at what I do. We're all good at what we do. That's how we're in this game, and you need to trust your opinion. And that's something I just keep echoing to myself. Like, I'm in a yard, there's 12 or so horses in front of me, and I just need to trust what I see. Like, what I see is not always going to be correct. My opinion's not always going to be right. I can read a horse wrong and I'll get some wrong and I'll get some right. But it's just reassuring and just telling myself, hey, you do know what you're doing. You know what you're looking for, and just trust in the system, trust in the process. And that process is very much believing what I'm seeing. Like, if I'm seeing a horse and it's not looking quite right, just believe in that. Or if I'm seeing a horse who has improved drastically, and it's like, well, has it really improved that much? And it's like, yeah, maybe it has. So it's just taking my opinion at face value and not overthinking it, not going, oh, but it did this last start, or Jackson says it's going to win on form, or, you know, everyone on Twitter's declaring this thing, the trainer's come out and said like it's the best horse in the stable, like it's working through the roof. Like, you hear so much in this game, and that all might be true and everyone's entitled to that opinion, but you just have to focus on what your opinion is. And at the end of the day, I'm there to look at horses in the mounting yard. And that's very different to what a trainer's doing, what a form analyst is doing. Everyone has their role to play. And at the end of the day, my role is to assess how that horse is parading then and there, just as it's about to race. I think the most important thing for me with this prep work is just the yard comments. So I'll show you later. The database I have is so crucial because I have a memory of a goldfish. So when I have written down everything I need to know about the horses and how they've looked, every time I've seen them, like even going years back for some horses, that's what's the most important thing rather than just all this. This is just the basics to give me a little bit of guidance. When I was working at racing.com, Matt Welsh got me in contact with this man called David, who has created this racing analytics professional software system. It's for form analysts, it's for a lot of people in the racing industry, and three of us worked together in creating this database that can be perfect for the mounting yard. And what we created was this incredible system where I can enter notes on horses, and then it builds this database where it shows me their form, but it also collates all this information into a race day form guide where I can see all of my notes on the horses racing that day. And then also post meeting, I can enter my new notes into the system all under the horses' profiles, and where I can also look up horses' profiles. So like light infantryman, for example, it'll come up with all of the notes I have every time I've seen light infantryman. And it has just been so crucial and helpful in the way I do the mounting yard because I have a terrible memory, and this database just saves me from having to remember everything. It just has all of my notes in one place and really helps me to see, okay, this is what I thought last start, this is what I thought last prep, this is what I thought on debut. It goes all the way back, and I can see every time, every single intricate note that I've written on how that horse is paraded that day. Thursdays and Fridays, or just like 2 other days a week, I do my late mail for Betfair, which is just a recommended bet, so either a back or a lay. And to get the late mail, you've got to have the notifications on, and it's all on the app as well, which is kind of really great. These races I always find tricky in terms of laying, because I don't like the first favourite or the second favourite, and there's only one horse I really like, so I always contemplate, do I lay both of them, or do I stay out and just back the horse I like? I'd say my lay betting strategy is pretty consistent. I very much need to have horses in the market that I think can win, and I'm very selective with lay betting because at the end of the day, the market's telling me this horse is a very, very good chance of winning. So I kind of need to respect that in a sense and go, okay, well, if I don't think it can win, something needs to win the race at the end of the day. So I kind of need to like the second, third, fourth favourites, or at least a couple of roughies. And that ultimately is what helps me decide if I should be laying this horse. It doesn't really depend on which track, metro, country, Group 1, Group 2. It's very much just dependent on what I'm seeing, if I like the horse, and if I like anything to beat it, because something does need to win these races. And then the other thing it comes down to is price. I kind of have a new thing now where if it's under $2, I should just be laying it regardless, because that's a big edge. And particularly for my Betfair followers, that's where my edge really lies, is those really short price favourites that just aren't looking up to their best. And if there's any knock at a horse under $2, then that has to be a lay, because at that sort of price, they need to be parading perfectly. The 10s here is interesting. She's not at a price where I'd lay her, but I don't recall her getting this toey or hot before. She looks quite worked up today. I sort of don't really lay horses unless they're below $5, and she's currently $7.20 on the exchange. So she's one that I'll be waiting to see if it firms. So she could be a potential lay, but she's the one at the moment that I've kind of marked as a potential maybe lay, / I'm very interested to see how she performs. Because the rest of the field, it's not that hot yet, and the rest of the field's pretty relaxed. So I'm not too sure why she's getting herself so hot and bothered. And I'm very taken with the parade of the 7, Mr. Magnus. He's such a beautiful horse. He's so strong. So this is a race over 1,000 metres, and you want them to have as much strength as possible. And you can see his hind quarter has so much muscle definition. You just look at him and you think power. He's got a huge shoulder. He's a really nice sprinting horse, moving well. He's had 4 weeks between runs, which was my only concern coming in today, but he looks like he's maintained his fitness really well. So many different levels and ways a horse can get worked up pre-race, and the most obvious of that being sweating. and getting really warm and worked up. And I think there's so many different factors you need to take in, and the first one being the weather. That day we were on course at Sandown, it was really warm. I think it was about 30 degrees and it was quite humid. So you kind of need to go, okay, well, how am I feeling in these conditions? Okay, I'm a little bit hot and bothered. So you go, okay, well, it's probably a little bit forgivable for a horse to be getting quite hot and bothered. They've been in the stalls for a few hours, they've been walking around, they've got a saddle cloth on. So you can kind of expect to see some sweat under a saddle cloth, around the girth, kind of anywhere where there's an item of gear that would cause them to get a little bit sweaty. There are areas where you go, okay, it's forgivable, it's just a little bit of sweat. But for me on a hot day, if they're getting bothered, that's when it becomes an issue. Like if they're then getting really toey, they look agitated, you go, okay, well maybe they're not handling the heat as well. Horses, like humans, some just handle these conditions better than others, and that's something you kind of need to factor in. But you also need to be forgiving if some are getting a little bit sweaty, but if they're not worked up, then it's not overly a concern. But if I see a horse in the middle of winter getting really warm and sweaty, I go, oh, why? Like it's not warm at all. You shouldn't be getting that warm. They most of the time have a winter coat on them then. So you kind of think, okay, is there maybe something wrong with this horse? Is it maybe feeling the effects of something going on behind the scenes, particularly if it's out of character for them? And that's when I go to my database and go, oh, it's never gotten sweaty before. Why is it getting sweaty in the middle of winter? So that's when you start to get a little bit concerned that maybe there's something wrong with the horse.
Outside comes away pretty well, but also Colorado and the Muppet Bay, and not too far away from the well.
I feel like Betfair's on your side because they genuinely care and they genuinely want punters to succeed, and I think that's why I've loved doing my Mounting Yard mail for Betfair, is because we're genuinely trying to inform Betfair customers on how the horses are parading on the day and giving that information to help punters win, because at the end of the day, Betfair do want punters to win, and that's why I love working for Betfair, because so do I. I want to help as many people as possible learn about the Mounting Yard and also bet off the Mounting Yard, because I really do think it can be such an important piece of the puzzle. And I'm really excited we've just started doing the late mail, so that's at as many Victorian race meetings I can get to, and that's simply just a tip from the yard, and that can be found on the Betfair app. And if you turn on notifications, you get a notification sent to your phone the second I place a bet, and I love that it's so easy and convenient.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.